ただいま成田国際空港に着陸いたしました。これより64番ゲートまで移動いたします。
Attention passengers, we've now reached our destination. We hope you enjoyed the flight and have a nice day.
Attention please, this is the final call.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Asian Investor Podcast. I'm your host, David Kim. Each week, I'm joined by the fund manager of leading venture capital and private equity fund and executive of corporate investor in Asia. Today's guest is Tomoyuki Nii, head of international investment division at the SBI Group based in Japan. So which one is a family name, Tomoyuki or Nii?
Nii.
Nii is a family name.
Yes.
Then the people call you Nii-san, not Tomoyuki-san. Right?
Exactly. Nii-san. In Japan, yes.
Yeah, Nii-san. In Japan, I learned that the people seldom call each other with the first name, right?
No.
Yeah.
Unless you're like friends in your college days or
child days, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
You are the first guest on the new podcast, Asian Investor. How do you feel about that?
It's my honor to be the first speaker in your podcast program. It's always my honor to be the first.
Yeah,
thank you. Kind of program, yeah.
Yeah, my honor too. Features you and SBI for the first episode in Asian Investor Podcast. こんにちは。よろしくお願いします。
こんにちは。よろしくお願いします。
Hello, Nii-san. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, David. Thank you for having me. It's always my honor to be the first in any program.
Yeah, I'm very happy that I'm helpful to you today. Last time you told me that SBI has a plan to expand into Africa. Did you tell me that you have investment portfolio in Africa at the moment?
Yes, we already have several companies or several portfolio companies in Africa, but we want to increase the number and
activity.
And we would like to acquire financial institutions in Africa. We want to invest in funds in Africa and we want to export Japanese second-hand cars to Africa. We want to build a sort of business ecosystem in Africa.
Yeah, very interesting. So out of 6 continents in the world, where do you have a presence in terms of activity at the moment?
We are acting pretty globally. So in Asia, we have our offices in almost every Asian country, especially in Southeast Asia, and of course in China and Korea. But other than that, we have offices in Europe. We have one in Berlin, in Germany, and we have one in Israel. We have one in Moscow, and of course we have people in Silicon Valley as well.
Wow. Yeah. How about Latin America?
Latin America, we haven't reached out to the continent yet. Yeah, maybe in a few years.
In the future, right?
Yeah.
But I think the SBI investment is as a Japanese investor, very, very active in the overseas market as compared to the other private equity or venture capital or corporate investor.
Yes, I think so. So Japan has like 120 million population, and it's not a very small country. So
yeah,
and of course we have the language barrier because few people speak English.
Yes, that's a handicap for the Asian people. Japan and Korea has the biggest handicap for language problem, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah, so amazing that the SBI looking at the global market, try to expand and grow the business. And that's the way connect with the other emerging market outside Asia or Japan. And it can open the door for other Japanese company to get involved and collaborate with business local company there.
Yeah, you're right. So Japan, unfortunately, the economic growth is pretty low, like other developed countries, and unfortunately, the population started to decrease. So we need to keep innovating things and go outside Japan to expand our businesses. And if you go to Asia, people are young, population is still growing. They're making like 4%, 5% economic growth a year, and people are tech savvy, so there are a lot of investment opportunities. And if you go to Africa, our CEO calls the region the next Asia, the only continent that can enjoy the population bonus, what we call. And if population is growing, then many business opportunities, come up, and we have a lot of chances to make profits.
Yes, I totally agree. I mean, Southeast Asia, before Southeast Asia, China was a factory for the other developed economy. And then we took advantage of Southeast Asia for the manufacturing center, especially Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand. But their cost went up a lot, and then they're losing the data advantage. So probably not many economy market we can leverage, take advantage of that opportunity in Asia any longer. So I think naturally we need to look at the Africa for that synergy and opportunity, I think.
Exactly, and we need to hurry because China has started to dominate the continent.
Right.
So yeah, we need to hurry. Yeah, we still have a lot of good manufacturers such as Toyota or Sony, and I understand that people in Africa love Japanese cars.
Yep.
And because of the quality, and those things cannot be copied easily when it comes to quality. So that's our strength to compete with China.
Agree. I look at your background, professional background. You started your career as a banker at the beginning, right?
Yes.
Let's get it started by telling the audience a little bit about your background and how you got into VC space and end up working in the SBI investment.
Okay. So as you mentioned, I used to be a banker, and I joined a bank called Mitsui Trust Bank in 1990, and that was the time when the Japanese economy was at its peak. So at that time, if you look at the 5 largest market cap in the world, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, all were Japanese banks.
Yes, I remember. I remember all good days, right?
Right. Oh, very good old days.
Good old days.
So I joined one of the largest banks in Japan, but after that, the bubble economy kind of burst, and those banks started to merge with each other to survive.
Right.
And in 2000, during that kind of period, I changed jobs and I joined Softbank in 2000.
I see.
At that time, Softbank actually acquired one of the traditional bank called Nippon Saiken Bank.
Nisaigen.
Yes. And Master Son declared that he would like to change this bank for startups and SMEs.
Right.
And he thought he had a great vision to create a bright future for the financial industry in Japan. So I joined the group. Actually, I joined part of SoftBank called SoftBank Finance Group, which was established by Mr. Kitao, who is CEO of our group now. And he was CFO of SoftBank at that time. And SoftBank Finance was accelerating the financial businesses within SoftBank. And I was allocated to do the sort of comparison website for the financial products. And we had several members, but we thought, this business is hard to scale. So we talked with the management and we founded a company, which was the first mortgage company using the internet based on the securitization system in the US. And we had the deregulation in this area in Japan at that time. So we had a chance. And I was involved in this startup for 6 years since then. We set up a holding company and together with some businesses in SoftBank Finance, the group went public in 2003. reached a market cap of like 1.8 billion. And then finally, this holding company was merged with Softbank Finance. And during that period, and by the way, this mortgage company after that went public in Korea.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What is the name of the company? I know
At that
that
time, at that time, the name was SBI Mortgage.
I see.
Yeah.
SBI is a very, very active, huge presence in Korea, right?
Yes. We acquired the first, I think, venture capital firm in Korea. So it's now called SBI Investment Korea. I think it's listed. It's listed on Korean Stock Exchange.
Is it the Korea Technology Finance Corporation, KTFC? Company you
Well,
acquired?
no, I think it's SBI Investment Korea.
Before that, before you.
Maybe so. If that's the oldest one. Yes.
The old name, right?
Yes. Yeah. But anyway, I transferred to SoftBank Investment in 2006.
For those who are not familiar with SBI Investment, would you like to introduce a little bit about SBI Holdings and SBI Investment? Some people are still confused between the SBI and SoftBank.
Right. So as I mentioned, SBI was part of SoftBank. Was founded as part of SoftBank. It was called SoftBank Finance, and then we spun out of the group in 2006. And since then, we've been using this SBI. It was SoftBank Investment, but now we call it Strategic Business Innovator. SoftBank is no more a shareholder of our group, and we don't have any shares of SoftBank, but people are closely related. So I'm close to SoftBank Vision Tokyo team, and they call us family, but we are independent from SoftBank right now. We are listed on Tokyo Stock Exchange, market cap around 7 billion. We are basically a financial group based on the internet. So that's who we are.
Gotcha. So you are heading the international investment team. So where is the biggest market for SBI Group outside of Japan? And do you have a dedicated fund for specific overseas market?
So we have two types of funds. One is our general fund. We are raising the fund up to 900 million US dollar. We reached 700 million last year. Unfortunately, we are behind the schedule because of the pandemic, but we will reach 900 by the end of March or June. And this one is basically based on the Japanese limited partnership law. So 50% should be invested in Japan. However, we have another type of funds, which are basically the joint funds with partners around the world. Those are investing in local startups in those regions. For example, we have a fund with a VC firm in Germany. This fund invests in Europe. We have a joint fund in Indonesia. This one invests in Indonesia. We have one in Singapore and other areas as well.
I see. Got you. Can you please tell me more about the company that are sort of in your sweet spot?
Sweet spot, okay. So basically, we want to invest in technologies that can change people's work style or lives. And we love disruptive technologies, which can make people's lives more efficient. And fintech is a sweet spot area because we are a fintech group. We have the largest bank in Japan. We have the largest online broker in Japan. We have the internet-based insurance group. We have the crypto exchange, officially licensed by the Japanese government. We have the largest foreign currency trading platform. So we have a lot of platforms that can support those businesses in the fintech field, especially when they come to Japan. We can set up a joint venture with them, and we can share our own business experiences with them. And we understand what's coming next in this field. So fintech is the biggest sweet spot for us. But other than that, of course, we invest in some technologies like health tech, or
how about those popular low-hanging fruit at the moment, like e-commerce, ride-hailing, and what else? You already mentioned the fintech, so ed tech. Are you interested in those kind of popular vertical as well?
Yeah, edtech, we are interested in this field, although we haven't invested in many companies yet, because we believe after the pandemic, this digitalization in the education field will accelerate. So we are now doing due diligence with some companies, but this one we are interested in. Ride hailing, I think it's too late.
Yeah.
E-commerce, unless the business model is very unique
Right.
or new, we're not basically investing in this field.
How about the AI and those machine learning technology?
Well, we like it, but also these are becoming sort of commodity.
And everybody talk
And yeah,
about
everyone is using AI, and sometimes it's not machine learning, right?
actually overused.
Yeah. So first, you
Everybody
need
saying,
to make sure that they are really using AI,
right. That's right.
and then how it is used. That's the important.
Right. You're absolutely right about that. Yeah.
So first, we want like to invest in disruptive technologies, and those companies basically come up in Silicon Valley or developed countries. When people would like to, accelerate innovation. If you go to a continent like Africa, there is no infrastructure,
Right.
so there is nothing to disrupt. You see?
Yeah,
So,
it's a long term, like a
right.
huge wide space, right?
Yeah. So the question is, together with the process of having infrastructure, like bridges or roads or railways, can we use technology to fill the gap between the society 20 years from now and today? So the famous one is M-Pesa.
Yes.
They use cell phones for payments, and
Yeah.
and that became the infrastructure, right? So we are interested in those kind of technologies.
Interestingly, yesterday I saw I read a news article that one of African fintech company raised a new funding, I think hundreds of millions of US dollar, and then they got the valuation of $1 billion.
I think you're talking about Flutterwave.
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about with them as well.
Yes. So still, as you mentioned, infrastructure not fully developed. Still, there is a way connect and then bridge to those gaps by providing solution.
Perhaps some of them may go outside Africa.
Yes.
Then we call it leapfrog.
Disruptive technology.
Yeah,
right?
no, leapfrog.
Leapfrog.
Yeah.
Actually, I have seen that similar case. I saw that some agriculture data management company, they got a valuation, huge valuation for the first round. It was a surprise, and because it's not a lot of, I mean, the market opportunity in Africa for those of technology. But I think technology is very easy to replicate in other market as well. So I guess investor who made money and made investment in that company, they interpret that opportunity that they have a huge potential outside Africa as well. Yeah, that's the case, as you just mentioned. Yeah.
Right. But in many cases, I think African startups are trying to solve the problems that are unique to Africa.
Right.
For example, in many countries, they don't have address, right?
Yes.
So,
we talk about that a lot.
Or
you need to explain the go straight and then turn left at the corner, and then you drop the
so inefficient.
there.
So how the technologies can solve this problem before the government actually sets all the addresses to all the residents for all of their residents? That's the issue.
But I mean, if entrepreneur found a startup in Japan, US, I mean, any developed economy, they can find a wide space, I mean, pain point, and develop the business model and solution, and take advantage of market opportunity. I mean, basically plug and play business model. But in Africa, even they develop the same idea, same technology, there is a lot of moving part, right? So what I feel is that their experience might be useful somewhere else in other part of the world as well, because they actually did more extensive work to connect all the missing part together with the missing part. So I think that may have a synergy in other market as well.
I think if it's Asia, you can bring the business models from Silicon Valley.
Right.
And that was done by Masa Son in Softbank.
Right.
So he calls it time machine management or something like that.
Right.
But that's basically not the case in Africa, I think.
Agree. Yeah. Absolutely right. Yeah. So we talk about the same topic. I had a conversation with other Silicon Valley investor a few months ago. We talk about that. I mean, if it's, I mean, entrepreneur in Silicon Valley, he want to expand in Africa, bring over the best team out of his company, and then replicate the same business model technology. He made a symbolic comment that maybe that is useful for 1% of a potential success in Africa, 1%. Other 99% need to find out in locally and then working together, local people.
Right.
I thought that's very right. I mean, about the situation in the market in Africa. I found an interesting news article about the SBI's plan to create the fourth Japanese mega bank by consolidating several Japanese regional banks in terms of strategic roadmap or synergy. What is it still the ongoing plan, and then what was the reasoning and the logic behind it?
Yes, it's still ongoing. So Japan has this kind of problem in the regional areas. We have like 102 regional banks.
Only 120. I thought it used to be 200 regional banks in Japan.
Oh, really? We have now 103.
And then the 300 leasing company, right?
Yeah, we have other financial institutions such as credit unions, but regional banks, we have 102.
Okay.
But as I mentioned, the population started to decrease. So they are losing their businesses. And as you know, the interest rate is extremely low. So Prime Minister had said that this country has too many regional banks in his interview. And we agreed to it. And some of them may have to merge with each other, and all the banks needs to introduce new technologies, fintech, to do businesses outside their prefectures, because usually they only do business in their prefectures, but they don't know what to do. So 50% of them are investing in our funds to find out the right partner or the right technologies to innovate their businesses. So we are supporting them, and we are going to invest in 5 to 10 regional banks, and we already did it. I think in 6 or 7 regional banks, and we are not going to actually merge with them with each other, but we want to introduce basically the same
franchise model.
Kind of.
Below the holding company.
Not really. We want to introduce the same platform or core banking system or fintech applications, so that we can create a sort of how do you say, volume benefit to cut cost, to share the cost, and also this strategy enables them to do businesses outside their territory.
Right.
And we think that's the right way to survive.
Right.
And if you consolidate all those regional banks, amount of deposit or number of customers, then this will be almost the same as the 3 mega banks in Japan, which are SMBC, MUFG, and Mizuho. And we didn't use this phrase. I think the media started to say SBI is trying to create the fourth power in the financial industry in Japan.
Yeah, it's very sensational title headline.
That's right, because the Japanese financial industry is not innovative.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's a very interesting moment for the Japanese economy and as a whole, also for the Japanese company who want to expand outside of Japan, because Japan has been known as the powerhouse for the global manufacturing and technology, right? And represented by Toyota system. I mean, for people outside of Japan, they easily understand about the Japanese manufacturing culture. But as you mentioned, Japan also very conservative in the corporate culture and business culture. So our world, global ecosystem quickly changing, even coupled with the pandemic. So need to disrupt, innovate very quickly over time. So as you mentioned, your SBI's initiative to disrupt and innovate the banking system may be very timely, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. This group started from zero 21 years ago, and now we are listed on Tokyo Stock Exchange with a market cap around 7 billion, with the largest internet bank in Japan. So we want to innovate the financial industry, and actually the number one mission of this group is to become financial innovator,
Right.
using the power of internet
Yeah.
or blockchain or any technologies.
Make a lot of sense because I mean SBI Group does not have all the baggage. All other banks, even though that they have a lot of smart people, management member, and a very large scale the operating system, but they have a baggage. They have all the tradition. But the SBI, as you mentioned, started from the scratch, so you can do whatever. I mean, right about the future direction. I think
Right,
that's a clear competitiveness.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, what I hear from our CEO is that there are two important things. On your right hand, you need to have a strategy, a effective strategy, and on your left hand, you have to have the technology. Because the finance, financial businesses are all about data and numbers, right?
Yes.
So it's very compatible with the technologies.
Yeah.
And he said he learned the importance of technology from Masason.
Right.
And
Yeah.
combining those two things together, then we can be the winner in the industry.
Yes, yes. Yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah, make a lot of sense. Yeah. In the article, about the, I mean, mega bank story of SBI, mega bank initiative of SBI Group, in the news article also mentioned about the SBI's strategy to create the ecosystem centered around the digital asset. Is it true, or do you have a, I mean, substantial plan to execute this story?
Oh, absolutely. So actually, we are already on the track of achieving this. So we already have created a sort of ecosystem in this space. We have our own crypto exchange called SBVC Trade, officially licensed by the FSA, and we have a joint venture with some of our portfolio companies like R3 or Ripple, and we are bringing Ripple's technology to Japan to skip the domestic wire infrastructure called AllBankNet.
Is it Ripple? Is it Ripple private equity fund?
Ripple is XRP. Have you heard of it? Yeah.
Not a fund.
It's not a fund, it's a company.
Okay.
XRP's market cap is, I think, the third largest one. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. We created a holding company called SBI Digital Asset Holdings, leading all those crypto and blockchain projects. We want to use those technologies in the gaming space, which Japan is also good at. And we are now focusing on so-called what we call security token, because we are a big believer of this token economy. Why? Because it's convenient for customers. But those ICOs didn't actually go around because of the regulation. But if those tokens are regarded as securities, and if you follow the regulations under the traditional securities, then those regulation issues just disappear. So if it's security tokens, people can buy and sell under the regulation. So we are going to set up the private trading system, the secondary platform for security tokens in Osaka. And we're going to do this with SMBC, one of the top 3 banks in Japan. And we want to, we are going to set up a joint venture with SDX, the subsidiary of Swiss Stock Exchange in Singapore, to launch the security token issuing platform. And also we are partnering with Stuttgart Stock Exchange in Germany, which is also focusing on this area. I think the first one to focus on this area as a public stock exchange. So we are creating a sort of global triangle among Germany, Singapore, and Tokyo. And unfortunately, the US is behind in terms of regulations. So we are not focusing on that continent as of today. But I think this year we'll start to see security tokens starting to go around.
I got you. And what can we expect from you and SBI Group this year?
Right. So as I mentioned, I think digital assets becoming the real big thing, and it's already start to happen because Coinbase is going to go public, and their secondary market cap reached 100 billion. We'll launch these security token projects. So I think the cryptocurrencies, blockchain, these will start to go around, start to make profits in many areas, becoming like the second internet. And we want to be part of this innovation. We have a lot of portfolio companies in this space, and we have our own businesses in this space. And also, we are going to exit some companies using SPAC in the US, which can bring about a lot of profits, hundreds of millions of profits for our funds. That's the second one. And we also would like to accelerate our investments because we will close raising our new fund up to 900 million. It's called 4+5 fund. We are focusing on the area of Industry 4.0, which consists of deep technologies like AI, IoT, Fintech, and also these with these technologies, the IoT world will become real, especially this year because of the new infrastructure of 5G. So yeah, we'll make a lot of exits. We'll accelerate our investment with a new fund, 4+5 fund, and we'll see digital assets businesses expanding this year.
Yeah, sounds like you have another exciting year this year.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for taking time today. And it was great to get to know more about SBI, and a great honor to have you on for the first episode of Asian Investor. Hope you and SBI have a great year going forward.
Okay, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure talking to you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, share with a friend, and drop me a review. Goodbye.